Welcome back, guys, to the Full Force Fathers podcast. Today we are on episode number 61 today. How are you doing?
I am doing pretty well. I got a lot of things going on here at the house. Renovations still abound. We've got football on the weekends. Actually, with our last flag football game this weekend, which is kind of sad, brings a little tear to my eye. It was a fun football season. It was only 7 weeks, but Bryce's team, we had a heck of a season. It was a lot of fun, and now I'm coaching Kendall's basketball team, as you know, as well. So we are just full on Tennessee life right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love when I was talking to Bryce last week, and I said, Bryce, I'm expecting 3 touchdowns, and it was in the back of his mind the whole time, and then
Yeah,
he was so disappointed.
he was.
Tell Brett I only scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, two touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, but that wasn't good enough for Uncle Brett. So it
No,
was,
no, 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 it doesn't work that way. But
yeah.
full out Tennessee. So, anyways, if you're watching on YouTube, I am in a tank top because I am in Arizona in May. I'm tan. It's hot. What's the weather in Tennessee like?
Hot and humid. It's like being back in Connecticut in the middle of the summer, except it's only May. It's 90 and like 95% humidity, but it's better than cold, so I'm not complaining. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Hey, anything's better than cold, and you are
Hell
like you said,
yeah.
you're in the midst of a full out second bathroom renovation. God bless your soul, but I need you to make a promise to me on air right now that after this bathroom is done, you're done doing renovations for now.
I'm done. I won't do another renovation the rest of this calendar year. I'm done. I'll be lucky if I can cut the grass once a week. I am so spent. Like it is just I told Casey today, she goes, "Oh, you're living your best life." As I was walking out carrying my Crocs because I had stepped in thin set, holding a bucket and my tile saw or my tile tools. And she goes, "Oh, you're just living your best life." I go, "I will never do this again. Ever. I won't ever do it again. I'll
Yeah,
never do another bathroom renovation. It's awful. Since
yeah,
this is number
that's
two, it's lost all
that's
its luster at this point.
yeah, no, like any project that you start is exciting right when you first start it, and we've been lucky the last couple houses we haven't really run, Elixir, which you helped me do a lot of the work there. Like that was always exciting. Remember, we did both bathrooms, we painted the whole house. You did all the electrical outlets. Remember that? You changed all the
Hmm.
electrical outlets to white to match the gray, and that was like exciting all the time up until like it got towards the end. You're like, all right, this is not exciting anymore.
Exactly.
The because we redid the backyard in that house. You helped me do the turf. I did the patio back
Yep.
there, the grill area.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I
I
don't, I don't envy you.
I would say if it were just the two bathrooms like we thought when we bought the house, it probably wouldn't be as much of a pain in the ass. But the fact that there were so many things that were hidden when we like bought the house fairly sight unseen. I mean, we had done video walkthroughs and whatever, but we didn't never laid eyes on it in person until we bought it. There were just so many other things that we had to fix and do that I think just set me on a tailspin, and now I'm angry about all of it. So time to be done. We've been here five months, and I will have this project done by 6 months, and I will not spend another minute doing projects this calendar year.
Oh, well, that's
Promise.
good. That's good. Well, it's now recorded on air, so you can't ever take it back because this will be on YouTube
It's
forever.
true.
So,
It's
um,
true.
but anyway, so we're on episode 61, and we have a special episode today. So as we recorded this, it's Mother's Day. Mother's Day was yesterday, so we had to do a Mother's Day episode, and it just some holidays fall on Sundays. We don't record on Sundays, and some days we record before Sunday, and some days we record after Sunday. So it's just the way it worked out that Mother's Day has come and gone by 24 hours. But that doesn't mean we're not going to pay homage to our wives because without them, we can't be full force fathers. So we are going to do a Mother's episode. We're still going to kick it off normal. We're jumping right into episode 61, numbers 61. This is going to be short because it's terrible. And let me just doing research for the next couple episodes. The numbers are not going to be good. So, Dave, why don't you kick us
There's
off
a
with number
couple.
60?
There's a couple good 61s on the list. Okay, you're
All right.
not
Well,
doing it any service whatsoever, and there's a couple good ones. And I'm going to start with the first one, all timer with the Dallas Cowboys, Nate Newton, part of the Super Bowl winning Dallas Cowboys. Last time they were there, which was ages ago, so he's probably pretty old right now. But Nate Newton, man, he was a fantastic offensive lineman. I used to love watching him play. He also had that story where I think he had like 300 pounds of marijuana in the back of his car too, and he got arrested.
so I don't know Nate Newton. Is he the '90s Super Bowl teams or the older ones?
No, not yeah, 90s, 90s. He was on the
Oh,
Jimmy Johnson team.
oh, he's
He was on
Jimmy
the Bad
Johnson.
Boy Cowboy teams that were always in trouble. He was part of that. But yeah, I love me some Nate Newton. He was a lot of fun. And I doing some research, I found this out. A guy named Bill George.
Hmm.
He was basically the creator of the 4-3 defense, and I didn't really know what that meant. But in the olden days, they would come up and they would engage the center, but in this case they didn't. He'd come up to bump the center, but then he'd just drop back and he'd get a couple interceptions that way. So the quarterback didn't see what he was doing. He thought he was coming in, but he would just step up, come back, and then pick it off. So kind of interesting how he was kind of the creator of the 4-3 defense. So I thought that was pretty good. And then we got Bronson Arroyo, man. He's part of one of the greatest Red Sox plays of all time, or maybe it's one of the most infamous Alex Rodriguez plays of all time when he came up and slapped away the ball out of Bronson Arroyo's glove. Typical
Hmm.
A-Rod. That was part of the what was that? That must have been that was the '04 team.
Yeah, didn't
The '04 World Series team. That was dude,
he was
such a
on
great play.
he was on wasn't he on the mound when they won it? Wasn't he pitching?
Now Derek Lowe started it. Derek Lowe started Game 7. I don't remember
No,
if Bronson came
no,
in to pitch, but
no. The year they won that year they won the World Series when they beat the Cardinals that year. He wasn't he
oh
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
he was pitching for the final. He got the final out, right? Wasn't he on the mound?
No, he
No, he
wasn't. I think
wasn't.
he started that. I think he started that game. No,
Okay.
Keith Folk got the final out of that World Series.
Okay. I wasn't sure because I
Yeah,
swear I swear maybe it's just because he had that crazy hair and the dreadlock or and the those heavy Bronson always
dude.
put those braids in there and stuff.
Sports, he did. Sports do the weirdest things to you. Like when I just said Keith Folk came in and got the final out, I kind of got a little bit of goosebumps there. It brought back such good memories of that '04 team breaking the curse. Sports are just, they're such a wonderful thing.
Anything was better than '03. So and to come back and do it in '04 was
Yes,
was
yes,
pretty good. Yeah. Well, yeah. See, I see you have Bronson Royal, you have Chan Ho Park, and
I,
Levon Hernandez. I remember Levon Hernandez. I remember him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Mhm.
was, he was around in our time. He was a pitcher. Here's one for you. I got one in hockey. Rick
Okay.
Nash for the Blue Jackets. He's got 437 goals and 368 assists. Math on the fly, that's 805 points. Okay, so he's pretty good. This guy's actually considered really good in hockey. Do you know how many points away he is from Gretzky's record?
10,000.
2,434. So this guy, Rick Nash, is really good. Like, those are really good stats. And he's still 2,400 points away from possibly the greatest athlete of all time.
I'm pretty sure, like, you know, Wayne Gretzky probably had 805 points in a season or something stupid.
He might have.
Oh
It's
man, hey,
insane.
it's a decent list. I mean, it's not the
Yeah.
worst. It's not the worst. But it's not the best either. But it's hard because we live in a very NFL driven world. As you know, NFL is football in general is the number one sport in this country by a mile. Um,
Yep.
and so when you have this stretch of numbers here, now that we're past the linebackers, we're kind of in the lineman stage. You got a lot of guys that nobody even knows who the hell they are. You know what I mean? And that makes these lists a little bit more difficult because the two main sports in America, football and basketball, and you have no number. You just don't have anybody right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you
Yep.
won't basketball's on, and you won't really have anybody else in basketball moving forward. Um, and until you get to like Dennis Rodman, but you won't have any more Hall of Fame basketball players, and you won't really, besides linemen, you won't have any great football players again until you get into the high '70s, and then the '80s, obviously with all the wide receivers and tight ends and things. So
Yeah.
this is kind of a whatever. You know what I mean?
You you, you
We're
mentioned
just kind
Hall
of
of
going through
Fame.
it.
You mentioned Hall of Fame basketball players. I forgot to tell you one thing at the start of the show. I know you're a
What's
big
that?
movie buff, so I watched this week. This weekend I watched Air, which is
Oh, I
it's
was wondering
this
about that.
fantastic. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
I would like to think that it's true. Fantastic movie. It's about how Nike
they
got
cornered
Jordan
him.
to sign with him. It's amazing. And the interesting thing, and through the movie, you never see the actor who plays Michael Jordan. All you do is see him from the back, and you
Yeah,
only hear him talk on the phone after
yeah,
the deal was already done.
yeah.
His mother coordinated the whole deal, and I didn't realize this. she's the one who pushed Nike and kind of set the tone so that anything sold under the Jordan name, he got a piece of. He got a
Mm-hmm.
royalty of. He makes $400 million a year in passive income from the Air Jordan brand.
What?
400 million.
Oh my word! It's $1 billion
Dude,
every 2 years.
it's insane. Absolutely insane. And it was his mom that got that deal. I know you don't really watch a lot of movies. You should check that one out. It's on Amazon Prime.
It's on
Matt
Amazon
Damon,
Prime.
Ben
Yeah.
Affleck. You had me at Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Like, they're fantastic. Jason Bateman's in it. Dude, great movie. Check it out.
It's interesting because I don't know what is. I'm not a movie buff. I don't watch much TV at all, if any. And Amazon Prime, I think the girls put it on the other night, and I saw that, and they're like, "Dad, what is this?" I'm like, "Oh, it's about Michael Jordan." Of course, they don't know anything. They're like, "Oh, cool, whatever. I don't care." I told Andy, I said, "Hey, it's funny you say that because I told her the other day, I'm like, actually, I would watch that. I don't know when. It'd have to be like the perfect storm where it's 112 out or it's I catch it at the right time. But I will. I think I will eventually watch it. I just don't. I don't know when. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
but
good.
yeah. So, anyways, Mother's Day episode. We have just. It's going to be a short one because this is just a special episode for them and for them only. So jump right into the Bible verse, and it comes from Proverbs, chapter 31, and it's verses 28 and 29. And it says, "Her children arise and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praises. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all." And I don't know about you, but listen, I'm blessed to have my wife. She does many noble things, like run the entire household most of the time. And she's just the best. And like I said, this Bible verse, if you read Proverbs 31 is all about a woman, a noble woman, and what she does. And she sews after hours, and she goes to the merchant ships. And if you read Proverbs chapter 31, it's totally devoted to a woman um, who pretty much essentially runs the household and makes sure that everybody's taken care of in their family. When it's cold, they're all dressed in scarlet. It's actually a great chapter in Proverbs. It's actually the very last chapter in Proverbs. And there's no, and if you also want to read about noble women in the Bible, read the book of Ruth, which is a short book, also about a very noble woman and what she did to keep her family intact when things went wrong, when there was tragedy. So you're that's why I chose this proverb today, because Proverbs all of 31 is about a very noble woman. This one in particular, 20 and 29 is, it's just a blip. I could have taken any of Proverbs 31 and put it in here. But it is a recommendation to read Proverbs 31. It's only about 2 pages, page and a half in the Bible. And then after you read Proverbs 31, read Ruth, because they kind of tie into each other. And I think it's special. Like I said, I'm blessed. I know you're blessed to have Casey.
Yeah.
They do so much for us. Like I said earlier in the show, we would not be full force fathers without our wives. First of all, without our wives, we wouldn't be fathers. And, and and to be full force fathers, we can't do it without the director behind the scenes. In my case, which is Andine.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they are a very important part of our lives. Um, I mean, I think the supportive aspect for me is one of the most important things. I mean, I think about the last 4 years of our lives and the craziness that I've put our entire family through with
Hmm.
whims of want to move to Arizona, now Josh James back to Tennessee, and Casey's just been the most supportive person. It's helped along the way. Whenever I'm traveling for work, she's there holding the house together, making sure the kids are doing the things that they need to do. So yes, that Bible verse is perfect for today.
Yeah, and Andine she's a harder worker than I am. That's a fact. And the fact that she's carried us plenty of times, you know what I mean, in between job changes and life changes. Andine's she's the toughest woman that I know, you know what I mean, and strong, mentally organized, planned, you name it. And like I said, she's carried us more than one time, just based on her. So yeah, so this episode is for them. So the way I want to do this episode, David, like I said, it's not going to be a super long one, but I want you to take a little bit of time, and I'm going to shut up and I'm going to pass the mic to you. And for those listeners that kind of know us, from the show, but don't really know us, like I want to like kind of like how did you I'll give you a rundown and then you just kind of roll with it whatever way you want to go. Like how did you meet Casey? Where was your first date? How'd you propose? You know, like just kind of give us the backstory, right? Of the house, of the wedding, of whatever. You know what I mean? Just you're and Casey in a the Cliff Notes version of that whole timeline to where you began to where you are now.
Yeah. Well, we met in middle school. Became friends kind of as we got into high school. We grew up in two towns apart. She grew up in Burlington. I was in Harwinton, so we came together at
Wait, wait, wait,
at middle
wait,
school,
wait, hold- let me
Harbor.
stop you there. Let me stop you there.
Yeah.
Wait, she's from Burlington?
Yeah. Didn't you know that? Bougie.
Dude, you married up, bro.
I married on the rich section, the other side of the
Yeah,
tracks.
dude. You are playing way above the rim, my friend.
Yeah, tell me about it. So yeah, so we met there. We didn't start dating till after high school, although we did go to a high school dance together. Um, but yeah, we didn't start dating till college, and really then after college is when it kind of all came together. I don't remember what the first date was. I mean, it was probably the dance if we want to consider that a date, but we
Yeah.
weren't dating. We got engaged in Disney World, which is pretty cool. Cinderella's Royal Table, the restaurant, which Casey always loves Cinderella, so we uh, we got engaged there. Interesting story. It wasn't until like day 4 or 5 of the trip that I actually popped the question. She kind of thought that it was coming, but she was like looking for the ring in places. I guess when I wasn't in
Yeah.
the room, she was scouring through my suitcase. Little did she know I had it on me at all times. I
Yeah.
had it, I had it in a little bag in one of my pockets, and I was going on roller coasters. She was so mad at me after that. She's like, "What if it fell out? What if it
Oh
fell
my
out?"
God.
So
That's
it's like,
crazy.
so but when we the day we got engaged, I always told her if I didn't have this booked already and reserved, it wouldn't have happened that day because she was being such a jerk. She was so mad because it hadn't happened yet. She was treating me
Yeah.
like crap. So the day that it was gonna happen, I was like, "All right, let's go." I was like, "You bought like a nice dress. Don't you want to wear a nice dress?" No, I don't want to wear a nice dress. You want to do your hair? No, I don't want to do my hair. It's too hot here. I don't really care. So I take her out. We did the dinner, and she got so mad because she wasn't all dressed up and whatever. But like I said, I already had it planned and paid for, so it was gonna happen. But if it had not been, we might not have gotten engaged that day, and she knows that. But anyway, so we got back, we got married, we had a fantastic wedding. It was actually an early morning wedding, and we had an afternoon reception. Why? Because we like to save money, and the place that we had our reception gave us a condo in Maui for free for a week. So that was pretty awesome. Got to hang on the beach in Maui for
Wow.
a week. Yeah, it was phenomenal. Just to do the wedding 5 hours earlier. Cool. Where do I sign? Fantastic. We had this bomb ass band come in. It was a 9 piece orchestra from New York City. We had heard them at a friend's wedding in New York, and this band was legit. They had, like I said, 9 piece orchestra. They basically could do any genre with all the different people that they had. It kept the party going. It was so much fun. So we really enjoyed the wedding. We had bought the house about a month before the wedding. Casey lived there by herself before I moved in. I waited till we got married. We had bought a house on Crestwood Road in Torrington, on the east side of town, which was pretty cool. That was our first house. Casey was actually there this past weekend um, for a for a celebration of life, and she drove past our old house. She's like, "Wow, nobody takes care of the house the way we took care of it." I was like, "Well, we are a bit more anal than the average person, so I'm not quite surprised." But we love that house. We had 2 kids there. So Kendall and Bryce were both brought home. Fenway was brought home there when she was a puppy. Had a lot of great memories there. We renovated the entire house there. I'm sure you're surprised. But yeah, man, that's where we started our love story. That's where it all began back in good old Connecticut.
Cool. I like it. I like it. It's a good story. And
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of knew the little bit, like, you guys went to the same college, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
but, yeah, no, that's cool. That's cool. Um, Mine's just, probably just as different, is unique, a little bit more different than yours. I did not know Andine as a child. We did not know each other until I was 21 and she was 20. It's weird because our families, we it's funny because her family would always get together. Like if we had a big event going on at like at a cousins or something, like her family was good friends with my family, but we never knew each other. So even though we probably had crossed paths on more than one occasion in our youth, we never I don't ever remember talking to her or anything like that. So it probably was. I mean, I remember it clear as day. A phone call, a bunch of phone calls coming from a friend, my aunt's sister, my uncle's wife. So my dad's youngest brother, his wife's sister. So Andine used to babysit for them, and I think, I mean, she had boyfriends and I had girlfriends, and we were both single at the time. And it was a phone call. Hey, Brett, you really need to date this girl. You need to take this girl on a date, Brett. And then she was playing both sides of the aisle. Andine, you got to go out with this guy. He's a great guy. And both of us were literally like, fuck, no, I'm not interested. I'm not interested in being blind dated. I'm not interested in being set up by anybody. Or you know what I mean? That's just not, that wasn't the way that I rolled. And I was fine with that. So this was months and months of this woman trying to get us to go out together. Little did
That's
I know
funny.
that Pizza Palace in Torrington. I used to work there when I was in high school, like 14, 15. I used to wash dishes for $9 an hour. Thought I was the coolest person in the world because I had a job on the weekends. And I had worked there for a bunch of years. I know the owner really, really well. So every time I'd walk into Pizza Palace, I'd go behind the counter. I'd walk in there, go in the back like I own the fucking place, and talk to the owner, fuck with all the guys back there. I knew all the waitresses. And then one fucking day I go in there, and Dean, what I did not know, she was a waitress there. So I had no idea. And
Oh,
I'm thinking to myself, I walk in, I'm like, who the fuck is that blonde? Like, I swear I know her from somewhere. Someone's told me about it. I don't, but I could not put two and two together. I couldn't figure it out. And then finally I went to Bobby, the owner. I'm like, what the fuck? What's her name? And he told me, and I'm like, bingo. Then the light, it all clicked. So I walk in there, I'm literally a hippie. I have a ponytail, a tank top on, and a bathing suit, rolling in there to get a fucking calzone at 6 o'clock on a Saturday night, doing my thing, you know, and uh, and so we just kind of ran eyes against each other, kind of locked eyes, but I didn't say anything to her. She didn't say anything to me, and that was that. So it was maybe a week later, and the same lady who tried to set us up, Andine accused her of sending me in there to get food. She's like, I can't believe you sent him in there. I was working, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, you got it all wrong. I go in there like 3 times a week. You know what I'm saying? And so sure enough, literally after the persistence, right? Persistence in life gets you everything. Just you got to be consistent and persistent. Finally, we both kind of just we gave in. We're like, all right, fuck this. Like, leave us alone. We'll do it on our own terms. Here's give her my phone number. I got her phone number, and we just, I'm pretty sure like was a Facebook message like back in the day before there wasn't even messengers. Like Facebook was like IM instant message. You know what I mean? Back in 2007, 8. That's a long time ago. And so we're like, she's like, well, I'm working at Pizza Palace. I got a waitress night. And I'm like, well, and at the time, my uncle, my dad's brother, he had this beautiful spread out in Avon, and I used to house sit for him whenever whenever I was home or whenever he'd go somewhere, he'd be like, all right, Brett, just watch the house, stay there, take care of the dog, do your thing. I don't care. Just don't wreck the place. And so one day, like our first date, that's how lame our first date was, but it was kind of cool. It is. I was like, listen, I got to go to Avon. I got to go check on my uncle's dog. He's got a hot tub. You want to come over and hang out? We can just hang out in the hot tub and chit chat and you can hang out there for a bit and maybe catch a movie or something and get out of there. So sure enough, dude, she literally was in her Pizza Palace clothes. She met me at the Price Chopper parking lot like 9:30 at night when she left Pizza Palace, hopped in my truck, and we drove over to Avon. And we hung out for like 2 hours in the hot tub, just talked. That's all we did. Played with the dog, talked for a couple hours, just got to know her, just the feeling out session, and that was it. I literally drove her back to Torrington. She got in her car and Price Chopper parking lot. I went home, and I went home and I went to sleep. And
that's
I
funny.
guess you could say just the rest is history. The rest is history after that. You know what I mean? It was just
Yeah.
um, everything was good after that. And proposal. We'll see. We are. Let's see. We got married in Florida. I proposed to her in our first house that we bought, which was on View Street in Torrington. So still not really east side, kind of more central, off of right off East Main Street. Go down Hillside Avenue and go down a couple rights, a couple lefts, almost to the Harwinton line. We were about a mile. First house we bought, I think, was only maybe a mile and a half from her house on Scoville Hill, and
Hmm.
That's where Madison. That was where Madison was born, and that's where when I proposed to her, Madison was already born. We weren't married yet, and so I had did the whole thing. Went over, asked her dad for permission, and the day I did it, what are the fucking chances I pull into her dad's driveway, and she pulls in right behind me. She goes, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh, your dad asked me." I just made some bullshit lie up quick. I'm like, "Oh, your dad asked me to come move something for him or whatever." You know what I mean? But really, I was just asking. I'm like, "Hey, dude, Madison's already born. I'm sure you're okay with it, but can I marry your daughter?" He's like, "Dude, I don't give a fuck. I've been waiting for you to say it." So anyway, I bought the ring, and I bought it from a jewelry store, and I had it. I had it for like a long time. Like I just didn't know. I had no plans like when I was going to do it. Right, it wasn't going to be a restaurant. It wasn't going to be this. But I literally had no plans. So then one day, dude, totally out of the fucking blue, she was downstairs in the basement of our View Street house. That's where the washer and dryer was. We had a refinished basement. She was down there doing laundry, and I was holding Madison. Madison was probably 6 months old at the time. She was born in August. Yeah, she might have been 4 months old. And just when babies can start grabbing things, you know what I mean? And I gave the ring box. She went downstairs. I ran into my bedroom where I had it hidden, grabbed it, and I gave it to Madison. And we were sitting in the living room, and she comes upstairs from getting laundry, and she comes around the corner. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Madison's got a question to ask mommy." And she's like, "What?" And I wrote on a little piece of paper, like, "Will you marry daddy?" And it was like this cool little thing. And, sure,
Oh,
I
that's
think I
pretty
was in
awesome.
sweatpants and a gym, and a tank top, and she was in regular, so there was no like grand fare about it. It was just straight up random.
You never told me that story.
And yeah, and
That's
that's
pretty
how we
good.
proposed. And then one, and then we eloped. We didn't tell anyone we were getting married. The only person I told I was getting married was my dad. I said, "Dad, I'm going to get married." He goes, "Where are you going?" I'm like, going to the house in Florida." And I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell my sister. I didn't tell anybody. And I said, "We're just gonna go to Florida. We already got rings. We're just gonna get married." He's like, "Cool, saves me some money." My father, that's the way he is. He didn't fucking think about anything but himself. He's like, "Cool, saves me some money." So we literally didn't tell my mom. We went down to my mom's fucking house in Florida. We bought flights, and we went into Naples, got our marriage license. We found a dude who did it all. The wedding, he was a justice of the peace and a photographer. Dude, we got married on the back deck of my mom on the water in my mom's backyard and didn't even tell anybody. Got married,
Well,
flew
how
home.
mad
That was
was your
like in
mom? She
May.
had to be freaking fuming.
She was livid. And we saw her right when we got right when we got home. We it was Memorial Day weekend. We got married in freaking Florida in May. It was like the worst fucking temperature wise. It was like this time. It was May. I mean, I know when it was. It's May 26th. So we were in Florida for a week. Madison, Andy, and I got married. And Madison was a little flower girl. We paid for like a bunch of roses to get dumped all over the lawn and all that cool stuff. And we got back, and it was the Memorial Day. As Torrington has the Memorial Day parade, and it's the biggest parade around. And my mom goes, "What's on your finger?" I said, "Oh, wedding ring." She goes, "Where'd that come from?" I said, "We got married." She goes, "Where?" I'm like, "At your house in Florida." And she goes, "And you didn't tell me?" And I'm like, "Nope." And she was so My sister, they were like so fucking angry. My dad's like, "Give me a fist bump." He's like, "Nice job, good job." And Dean's dad didn't care. You know what I mean? And my mom was so pissed because, of course, I did it at her house. I did it at her house and didn't invite her.
Yeah,
And
that's
she's like, "Well, I would have had people come down, blah blah blah." No, we did it. We did it. It cost us flights and cheap wedding bands. Is all it cost. We did it
wow.
the most economical way you could ever get married.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and then obviously the rest is history, right? 3 kids later, 3 kids, three kids, 3 states, 2 dogs, and a partridge in a pear tree.
Partridge in a pear tree. Yeah, man. It's crazy how fast the time goes by, isn't it? I was saying that to my dad actually this morning. He was telling me he was going
Mm-hmm.
golfing at this place that we had gone for my like pre-wedding, like day before the wedding. We took a bunch of people and went golfing. Anybody who was in town from out of town, and we went golfing. It
Yeah.
was at the place. And I was like, "Can you believe that was back in 2009?" Like, goodness,
Yeah.
14 years ago that we did that. It seems like it was yesterday. The amount of life that's happened since then. Whew, It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's wild, man. But like I said, this episode, that's kind of our backstory. But we want to dedicate this episode to first of all, our moms. Heavenly Mother's Day to your mother, and a happy Mother's Day to my mom as well. It's and then obviously to our wives and to all the moms out there, stepmoms, adopted moms, godmothers, grandmas. Like it's just happy Mother's Day. That's yesterday was your day, and we had fun. We went to church and then had some friends come over that Andy wanted to hang out with, and we just had a good day and relaxed. Had a big snake in the driveway yesterday. That was fun.
Nice.
So and you spent your Mother's Day making Casey schlep in the bathroom.
Hey, she wants a bathroom done. She could help.
So,
Right?
anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to talk about when it comes to moms, or we got it pretty well covered?
I think we nailed it.
Good. Well, let's turn to our books, our book review, and today we have a book called "Running with Sherman" by Chris McDougall. Chris McDougall is the author of Born to Run, which is one of my all-time favorite books. As you can see, there's a donkey on the front, and then there's Chris right there running behind a donkey. And it's called Running with Sherman, How a Rescued Donkey Inspired a Ragtag Gang of Runners to Enter the Craziest Race in America. And as you know me, I love books about running, and this book, dude, is so cool. It is a great fucking story. It's a true story, but it is a great story. If you don't know anything about Chris McDougall, he wrote Born to Run. He moved to Amish country, by the way. He lived in Amish country. And the story, I'll give you the gist of it. When he moved to Amish country in Pennsylvania, he got some chickens, he got some goats. He had 4 or 5 acres off the beaten path. He was a writer in Philly and was tired of the city life, so he moved out into the country with his wife, and they have kids. And a guy had not abandoned this donkey, but had essentially just this donkey named Sherman was just literally in a barn. That's it. Never took care of it and never got out to see the sunlight. The guy was a hoarder. So all his animals were really, really, really unkept, dirty, filthy, malnourished. And so a friend of his says, "Hey, there's this donkey that needs to be rescued. Do you have any interest? You like having animals on your farm and you're looking for animals to help save." And so he goes over there, and this donkey was just living in fucking filth, and he nursed it. He, got it in a trailer. The thing wouldn't move for like 4 days in a row. He's like, I'm pretty sure, like a vet came, and his buddy who knows animals, like, I'm pretty sure this thing's just going to die. Like, I see animals like in this condition. Usually I just put them down. I don't even try to save them. You know what I mean? And sure enough, he freaking dude. And you don't know much about horses. I know you don't, and a lot of people that listen to the show probably don't. But anyways, the most important thing on a horse or a donkey or a goat are their feet. Their feet are their life. If they end up having foot problems, they usually get put down because they literally sleep standing up. They're always on their feet 24/7, 365 days a year. Every once in a while they lay down, but for the most part, they're literally always on their feet. So their feet are their most important thing. And just like a human, we clip our fingernails, right? Well, with horses, you have to trim their feet. So on their hoof, they have it's like a shell, and you clip it. Like I've seen my father-in-law do it 1,000 times. You file down their feet, you clip them, and you make sure that their feet are always well taken care of. This donkey's feet were so bad because the guy hadn't touched them in years, not like months, years. They were cutting off like 12 to 18-inch chunks of essentially, just think if you let your fingernails grow for 10 years and never cut them.
Wow.
Like they would be wrapped and curled and stuff. Same thing with this poor donkey. The dude had to use a hacksaw to chop off the fucking length of the foot that he had to cut off to get back. And then he had to clip it and file it and all that stuff. Anyways, and it gives you the backstory of animals and humans and how we coexisted and how stupid technology is these days. And then it brings me back to my most favorite place in the world, Leadville, Colorado, where the donkey race is. And it's so fucking cool. So go get it. Read. Cool. Funny story about this book, Running with Sherman. Dave, actually, I had to mail it to his house because I was homeless at the time. So I had.
Is that the book that came to me?
I had mailed this book to Dave's address, and then when Dave and I met in Pensacola, Florida, this is the book he brought to me. So when I was
Nice.
homeless, living in a box on wheels, I would mail everything to Dave's house, knowing I was going to meet him in Florida. So literally, Dave had his whole entire car full of luggage, and then he had a whole entire suitcase full of Andine and Brett shit.
It did. It's a true story.
It is a true story. I am not making that up. That's 100% a true
It's
story.
a true story. Oh man.
But anyways, go read Running with Sherman. It's a great book. It's great. I like, well, once again, you know how it is when you find an author that you like the way they type and they talk
Yeah.
and they word, and he's one of those guys for me. So, but that's your book recommendation, Running with Sherman, Chris McDougall. Check it out. I just want to say one more thing before you take us home. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Thank you for listening. I know there's moms that listen to this show, not just dads. We appreciate you. We couldn't do life without you. So just know, from my heart and Dave's heart, as a full force father, we wouldn't be anything without the full force mothers that are behind us.
That's right. Get out there, continue living a full force life. Support those moms in your life, whether it's your own mom, your kid's mom, whoever it may be. Support those women because they are deserving of it. So happy Mother's Day. We'll see you next week.